Hey y'all, it's your girl Charity B, and welcome to the I'm Enough Mastering Self-Love podcast. This podcast was designed for both men and women who are in the process or wanting to start their self-love journey. Here we discuss many topics related to self-love that promotes healthy habits that will help support your mental and emotional health, boost self-confidence, and self-worth. So get ready. This is something you don't want to miss. If you like what you hear in this episode, feel free to DM me and leave comments on my Instagram page at iam.enoughmsl. The podcast is also available on YouTube. The link will be in my description box as well as on my Instagram page. Everybody claps for the outcome, but very few people understand the isolation it takes to get there. Growth can get lonely when your vision stops matching your current environment. Some seasons require tunnel vision because distractions often come dressed as opinions. Not everyone will understand why you're moving differently, and the hardest part about evolving is continuing to trust yourself before the results exist. Hey y'all, it's your girl Charity B, and welcome back to the I'm Enough Mastering Self-Love podcast. If you are new here, welcome. I am glad that you chose to tune in and take a step forward into loving yourself on a deeper level. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. My hope for each of you is that today's episode gives you something meaningful to carry forward, whether it's a reminder to embrace your journey, tools to help you evolve into the best version of yourself, or insight you can apply in your everyday life. Whatever it is that you need, I hope you find it here. Welcome back to another episode. This is episode 10, Staying Focused When Nobody Understands the Vision. We're talking about isolation during the growth seasons. Our main points today, we're going to talk a little bit about tunnel vision, feeling misunderstood, and trusting yourself anyway. So let's go ahead and get into it. The lonely phase of growth. This is when you're outgrowing old habits, spaces, and conversations that just don't fit you anymore. Feeling emotionally distant from people you still love, becoming more intentional with your time, and realizing growth can feel isolating before it feels rewarding. But isolation during growth is not always punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. And some doors are not meant for you to take certain people or things with you. Now, there are some instances where things may feel off, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to cut people off. Sometimes it simply means adjustment needs to be made. Boundaries need to be communicated and set in place, or certain dynamics need to change. I personally have been in a situation where I felt this is kind of like when things started transitioning for me. When my mom got sick, I took care of her, and then she passed like 6 months later. So a lot of things were happening around me and in my life. There were a lot of changes, a lot of things I've noticed about during that time and how people treated me. It was just a lot of things that I was just considering. And then I kind of felt sometimes I wasn't fitting into my close friend group. I feel like I am the one, and I mention this all the time, I'm the one that kind of like be a couple steps ahead mentally as far as understanding certain situations and being able to take myself out of the equation and look from the outside in, or even trying to take a situation and see how it affects me in the long run or affect people around me in the long run. So I'm very intellectual in that way. And I feel like, people tend to bump their heads, or they have to learn the hard way, or they have to learn a couple of times. They got to keep going or keep experiencing the same things to be able to be like, okay, now it clicked. I should do things differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have used to be like, I don't understand. But with time, I had to understand that people develop and mentally get things at different stages, and that's okay. I just kind of pick it up the first time. And I just felt like I've been maybe my thought process will be already ahead, and it's taking them some time to pick up. I just didn't see where I fit in. And I was like, I love my friends. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great friends. They show up when I need them. I can talk to them. It's a healthy relationship. If I know I need something, we ain't gotta like keep tabs on what we do for each other. We just do it. And if you can pay it back, then okay. But if you cannot, then I'm not expecting it. It's more so like I'm helping a friend or somebody I care about in a time of need. And I hope if I was in that situation, you do the same for me. So it wasn't the fact that they were like bad friends or it was anything specific. I just felt like maybe I needed other friend groups, because I knew my best friend over a decade and my other two friends I knew since college. Those like my close friends. And I knew them over 5-6 years, maybe more now. But I was just like, I need something to change. And I actually, during that process, like when I was going through my bad breakup, when I was going through grieving my mother and my grandma and the different things that was happening in my life, I kind of used that time to get to know me and figure out what I like, and started like getting different friend groups. So I think that helped me, like having different friend groups. So I'm still friends with my close friends. We hang out more than I hang out with my other friends, but I do have other friends that can feed the other parts of my brain where I'm at, where I'm not getting from, or I don't feel like I can get from my close friend group. And I don't think anything is wrong with that. I think we all should have our own set of friends. Don't have to mix them all the time, that, feed those other parts of your brain or emotional support that you need, that you feel like you just can't get from, your close friend group, or they're just not capable of feeding that side of you just yet. So that is something that I feel like I was in a situation where I had to like tweak some things, because I was getting to a place like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here. And I was like, that doesn't really feel right, because I was like, I care deeply about them. I just think some things need to be tweaked. And I did bring this up to them. And then it was also like few of them with lack of communication. We didn't talk as much, being that one is like in Dallas, the other one, she was pregnant and she was a first time mom, so she was going through of course trying to get through those mood swings and stuff. But she also is the one that doesn't like, we're kind of similar as far as not talking too much about, or having the need to talk about too much as far as the emotional side. But you still want to like be able to connect with your friends on that level, especially if you're in a need and your emotions all over the place. I think you should communicate that with people who care about you, because that's a sensitive time, especially being a first time mom and going through pregnancy, whatever number child you're on. I think that it definitely takes a hold of you. You need as much support that you can get. So I think we all just needed that talk, and it was a good talk. But I did make it clear how I felt, and we made our promises to do what we needed to do individually in order for our friendship group to work. And so far so good. I can't complain. But that sometimes we may think we're in that space where we're outgrowing certain people that we love, and there's nothing wrong with the dynamic or like the friendship or the relationship. It's just you feel like you need a little bit more. I think if you're in that situation, then I think communication is a thing, and then seeing what needs to be tweaked and what dynamics needs to change. But that's just something to consider. But this is some things that you can experience during that lonely phase of growth, and that is probably one of the hardest stages of that growth process, when you have to be in it alone. Now, during this lonely stage, tunnel vision is necessary. And the medical definition of tunnel vision is when you lose your peripheral vision or your side vision, and you only maintain the central vision. So you really can't see what's going on the left or the right of you unless you turn your head. During this time where you're trying to grow or evolve, tunnel vision is necessary. It eliminates the distractions in this case. If you have too many distractions or constant access to you, I feel like it creates a space of confusion because you're receiving so much opinions from everyone else. Reasons why constant access to those opinions do create that confusion are when everyone else's voices become the loudest, it's harder to dictate what you actually are wanting and needing. It could lead to you second guessing things you were once confident about, and you become disconnected with your own instincts and you don't know which way to go. Not everyone that we have to understand that everyone that is giving you the advice can see your vision. They could be speaking from their own fear, their own limitations, their own comfort, or what makes sense for their life and not yours. So you have to be very particular, have a spirit of discernment about who you share your goals with. And it's not to be intentionally discouraging to you. They just don't understand a version of you that they've never seen before. So they're talking from a place of what they know, which can be unreliable because we're not talking from a place, or we're not wanting to reach these goals from a place of the old version of us or the current version of us. We're talking from a place of that future person we're going to be once we achieve these goals, once we get through and go through the pains and aches of growing and evolving into the best version of us or the next version of us. This is why protecting your focus from outside noise is important. This is why having tunnel vision is important. It requires your protection because focus is fragile in the early stages of building something. It don't even have to be something big. It could be little things. Just think about it. If you was like, okay, I need to change the way I eat. And I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start eating this. But there's so many distractions. DoorDash popping up, giving you a notification, or Uber Eats, or you have somebody asking if you want to go out, or if somebody is celebrating their birthday or stuff, they're going out to dinner. You have to be able to be disciplined enough to make those conscious decisions and choose to eat a healthier meal when you go out versus picking something that's mighty delicious because everybody else around you is eating for the taste and not have the same goal as you as far as your health. So it's easy to get distracted. It's easier to give up in these earlier stages. So you have to protect what you're building. You're trying to make the foundation as solid as possible, and you do not need any type of distractions. So protecting your focus means becoming intentional about who and what gets access to your mind during this time. Here are some examples of what outside noise is and what it looks like. It could be constant comparing yourself to what you see online, comparing your progress to what somebody else has accomplished, projecting, allowing people to project their fears onto you. For instance, and I've heard people say this before, you bring up a goal that you want to achieve. Say, for instance, if it's simply just going back to school, you're telling your friend, I'm thinking about going back to school and getting my master's. And they're like, oh, ain't no point of doing all that. It ain't gonna matter anyway. And then now you're feeling discouraged not because it's important on what they think. It's just you're sharing something that you're wanting to do with someone you care about. And of course, their opinions do matter to some extent. So just hearing someone be discouraging or not trying to encourage you to be better, even if you don't do anything with it, or that doesn't even matter. If that's something that you want to achieve and it may make your life better, as someone who cares about you should be supportive of that, even if they don't see the goal. But people often probably don't want to see you do better, because there are people who intentionally don't want to see you do better. So they try to like keep you down with them versus uplifting you. And you have to be able to point out who and what, again, gets your time and your mind. It could also look like feeling pressured to explain your every move, over consuming advice instead of taking actions on your own, or entertaining distractions that pull you up away from your own goals. So in those situations, those are things that could likely happen, and without you even consciously knowing what's going on, in a split second, you didn't already failed. You already done backtracked. You already done gave up. So what can we do when we're faced with this outside noise? We can spend more time in execution rather than explanation. We could limit talking about what we have planned. Be quiet about your goals. You know that saying, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Protect what you want, because sometimes we prematurely, and it's been happening for centuries, you prematurely tell your goals or say them or announce them to certain people or put them in certain environments, and you wonder why you've never succeeded at that goal, because you prematurely opened your mouth when you should have been quiet. So learning to talk and when not to talk. You can also take breaks from social media if you tend to find yourself comparing more than watching. And that can happen when you see people reaching the goals that you one day want to reach, and you feel like you should have reached. But their path is not your path. God may have something greater in store for you. And if you over here pocket watching or watching other people becoming jealous without even wanting to become jealous, it's a natural feeling, it could be, then yeah, we don't want to hate or even linger or compare to what somebody else got going on. Because if you know that you're God's child, he definitely has something greater in store for you. So you have to remain focused and have tunnel vision on your own path so you can reach your own goal, because you never know what somebody has to go through to get where they at, and you never know if it's all peaches and cream on that side either. So it's very important to maintain focus on your own path. So if you need to take a break from social media and put your head in your books or put your head in your plan and actually take action in your own walk in order to give you a little bit of motivation to get closer to your goal, that way you can be celebrated and you can clap for yourself when you get there, then do so. We also need to choose our environments wisely that support our dreams and our goals. Put yourself in rooms with people who are going where you're trying to go. Not necessarily because we're trying to copy, but sometimes we need to learn. Sometimes we need that motivation of seeing people going in the right direction that we're trying to go in. Maybe that'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get there a little faster, or to do things a better way than having to struggle through to meet that same goal. But networking is very essential. Never really thought about that in school, but like in high school, but when you get out, you find out networking is very essential. It can take you many places. So put yourself around the right-minded people, not the like-minded people that were comfortable and okay with that current version of you or that old version of you. Put yourself around the right people who are headed somewhere and trying to go somewhere, and not trying to be comfortable and stay where it's comfortable. Now we're going to shift a little bit and talk about the importance of consistency over validation. Validation does feel good, but it's not a reliable source in this type of process. If you only stay committed when people clap for you, You will definitely find yourself struggling when things are quiet and not seen during this time. Especially if you're on that tunnel vision route and you don't see nothing to the left or the right of you. You just see nothing but your path, your steps, your goal. It can get very lonely and you have to find another way to validate yourself during those times. But I'm not going to jump the gun. Let's continue to talk about consistency over validation first. Consistency is what changes your life. It's not the motivation, because if I'm being real, and if you try to achieve any type of goal, some days you just don't want to be motivated. You just don't care to motivate yourself, and you won't have it to give. And if you're waiting on people to clap for you or notice your progress, there are going to be many, 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 many days where nobody sees it and nobody claps. You have to find that motivation through your consistency. And honestly, real growth often happens privately before it becomes visible publicly. Those important seasons of your life, you won't have an audience. You have to learn to keep showing up for yourself and for your goals. When no one checks on you, when nobody understands your sacrifices, when the results are not coming in as fast as you would hope, or the results are not coming in at all, you having a dead period. And when people doubt you, you have to find those ways to validate yourself, to push, to have that grit and to grind through all of the silence. And you wonder why I'm probably keep saying silence, silence, silence. But you have to learn to move quietly while you're building. It's very, very important. That's also, there's two things that's very important: having tunnel vision and learning to move quietly. If you ever listen to R. Kelly, I know he in jail for what he did and stuff like that. But if you listen to R. Kelly songs before, what he say? Real gangsters move in silence. He ain't never lied about that. Real gangsters move in silence. Never let them know your next move. It's not you hiding. This is just a part of your protection, and not every goal again needs to be announced. Like I said, just to double back, speaking too early can create pressures, distractions, or unnecessary opinions before you have the chance to fully develop the vision yourself. This focus, or this type of focus, helps you develop discipline. And it allows you to be less addictive to the outside approval or need for others' approval or validation. It helps you find this validation within. And it also allows your results to speak for you. You don't have to announce everything. You showing up, you doing it. They see it. And if they don't see it, we don't need nobody to clap for us all the time. Sometimes we need to clap for ourselves. That type of validation is actually the best validation I can get, one from myself. If I can feel like, oh wow, I am proud of myself. Just because other people say that doesn't mean that I'm proud of myself. If I can say that I'm proud of myself and genuinely feel that within my heart, okay, that's all I really needed in the first place. And if you really think about it, if you had it, this one person that's always got to announce what they are going to do, but then you don't see it coming about, or you've never seen it come happen. They just be talking. For instance, on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I don't know if y'all watched that. This is just something that just popped in my mind. I think Cherie, or whatever her name is, she had that clothing line, She by Cherie. And they was asking her on a reunion because she announced that she was gonna make a clothing line. They asking her when it's gonna come out. She's talking about some summer, spring, fall, and they're like trying to ask for specifics, and she over here lying through her teeth. You don't announce your baby before the baby not even being released. Like that's proof right there. People start asking questions because not because they want to be nosy, they just want to know the progress. Now you sitting here lying because you didn't do what you said you was gonna do. You probably feel like dang, I'm a little embarrassed. But If you really think about it, people that announce their goals early, or that one person that always got to say, oh, I'm going to do this, but you never see the results like ever, those are the people who need the reassurance. And people see that. People notice that. What's the point of having a goal that you want if you can not be confident in your choice of making it a goal in the first place? If this is something you truly, truly want, you do not need anybody else's opinion about if you should do it or not. Just do it. Like Nike. No pun intended. And also doing this allows you to maintain having that power of choosing how, when, and the flow of when you do achieve these goals. You can trust the process and do the process as you want to do without those pressures. I don't want to be pressured about something that I want to do. I'm just going to do it. It's quite clear that there is power in building privately and actually emerging when the foundation is actually solid. If the foundation start off, you ain't protected, you let anything happen to that foundation, you try to build anything on top of that, it will crumble to the ground and you're going to have to start all over again. I don't want to start all over again. That sounds like more work that I'd just rather not do. So let's make this easier for ourselves during this process, and let's be quiet. Learn when to talk and when not to talk about things. Keep and maintain that power. Boosts your confidence. Now, what happens when you feel misunderstood? And this is something that may very much so happen because a lot of people don't understand your vision. They're not thinking like you're thinking. People will assume that you changed during this time. You might be judged for distancing yourself, outgrowing the versions of yourself others were comfortable with. But like I've previously stated, sometimes people misunderstand your boundaries because they benefited from the version of you that lacked them. You stop feeling understood when you stop shrinking yourself to stay familiar. And if they say you changed, so what? I have changed, but not in a negative way. I've just become more intentional about myself, my peace, and my boundaries. And sometimes a simple I have changed, growth will do that to you. Learn about it. That's why trusting yourself without constant reassurance is important. So when you do feel misunderstood, or when people hit you with, oh, you different, or you change, it won't make you feel guilty or make you feel bad for wanting better for yourself. Sometimes you got to take a chance on yourself like you're willing to take a chance on others. If you can't trust your decisions or trust yourself during those times of uncertainty, then what are we really doing this for? You have to extend that consideration or that understanding to yourself as well. If you want to grow or become a better person or evolve or whatever is goal you're trying to reach. Self-trust is the third thing that I would say is most important during this process. Not needing permission to evolve, believing in your vision before evidence even appears, staying committed even when nobody is cheering yet. Yes, people will be uncomfortable or suspicious, but that does not mean you need to abandon your goals because they're uncomfortable. Trust yourself. Free fall if you have to, but close those gaps for yourself that you know in your mind and in your heart that you got your front, back, side, and side. There are no gaps, no holes here. This what helps you stay committed. I feel like if you don't trust yourself or trust how you think or can't provide that validation or reassurance, there's no way that you're going to get through this, or even meet the goal. I feel like if the lack of self-trust is something that does contribute to a lot of goals failing, And I'm not saying there is not any emotional cost of staying focused. There is. I mean, we're human. We can't just be like lock in. Sometimes we do get distracted. Sometimes the heart want what the heart wants. We want to linger. We want to play. We want to do all this. But we might miss people. We might feel lonely sometimes. We might want that support but not receive it, and we might have some temptations to go back for comfort. But temporary loneliness is better than permanent self-abandonment. We're looking at the long haul. Like, if you really think, take the moment and think before you act on falling victim to your temptations. If I fail here, how will that make me feel? I came this far and I chose to fail because of what? Here's a good example. And I hear a lot of people, men and women, it doesn't matter. They've decided to practice celibacy, made it to their 1 year, made it to their 2 years, or a couple years, however many, it's been a year or so. And they get faced with their type and nice, fine person. And it's like, I mean, one little dib and dab won't hurt. And then they do it and then they instantly regret it. Perfect example. Think about all that time, all that sacrifice. And if you know, the flesh can be very weak. And when you expose yourself to those type of things, and you think you can one and done it and keep on moving, that's not the case. The body is like, okay, well, that was nice. They're gonna want to go back unless you have some discipline. But just imagine you had the discipline and you was tunnel vision. You want to look to your left, your right. You might see this fine man, but everything that glitters is not gold. And you realize that, and you've learned, and you got the clarity from being celibate, all of those things, and you gave it up, and then it wasn't even worth it. How would you feel? How would you feel if you fell to your temptations? You fell short. I can only imagine you wouldn't feel good. So use that as your motivation to not give up until you get to your goal, whatever that goal is. I know we talked about a lot of reasons why, but I need to give you the how we can practice this to stay focused, because the mind is a crazy place, and if you let it run you, it will. And if the body is this flesh, and it will want things and want to fall some temptations, but we have to lock in order to get where we're trying to go, because the days are getting shorter, the time is moving, the crime is increasing, and we never know when the good Lord will return. However, I don't want to keep putting stuff on the back burner and say I got tomorrow. I don't know if I got tomorrow. Life is short. Death comes at all ages. It doesn't just come for older people. It's people, unfortunately, I've noticed it's people around my age, and I'm 28, and younger are dying these days. So death doesn't have like a age limit or requirement, but we do not have enough time, so we need to do it in the now. So here are some practical tips from me that I feel like helps us stay focused during those times of growth, and some that I used during my many times of growth, when I felt like I was evolving in those many different stages, because throughout life we always constantly evolve. We don't like the same things anymore. We don't love the same people, or don't want to be around the same people anymore. We outgrow environments and so on. So some practical ways that we can use are limiting overexposure to opinions. I love a good solitude. I think practicing solitude, even for a day or two, if you want to start off there, that helps you get comfortable with being alone and being able to stay in that tunnel vision. That way you can silence the mouths of other people, because people give you opinions that you ain't even asked for, unsolicited opinions, and you're like, okay, well, I ain't asked you, but okay. So try to limit overexposure to opinions. Protect your routines. Try to stay grounded in those. Yes, even with dieting or stuff like that, or you're trying to eat healthier, doing it in moderation. I'm not gonna say you're gonna eat. Now, there are people who do eat totally healthy, but actually trying to get into the process. You can't just say overnight, okay, I want to go cold turkey and just eat totally healthy. It's possible, but I don't think it's good for your body. I feel like, for instance, I think that was Beverly or whatever. She used to do mukbangs, and then she tried to just hop to juicing, and then her body went into shock. You have to give your body some grace and take some time and wean yourself off, especially if you've been eating for enjoyment versus eating for your health. But that's just an example. Like, you gotta wing yourself off. I'm not gonna say tomorrow you're gonna be perfect and you're gonna be healthy, because I wish it was like that. That'd be very easy. I wouldn't have to think about it, but that's not the case. So protect your routines. Make sure you stay grounded. And if you can't get them all done, make sure you check it out most of the boxes and be determined to go back on the ones you did not check off and try to meet them in some way, form, or fashion. Always have a plan B, because we might have a mindset on our routine to be this way, but what happens with those days where life be lifing and we don't have time to do the routine the original way? Have a way to that's your backup plan to still be able to meet the goals, or set time aside to meet the goals that you want to meet. Also, again, stop announcing every goal. If you got to talk to yourself in a room by yourself and to God, or journal it out, or talk to your pet, talk to your dog. I wouldn't even tell my kids, because kids talk a lot these days, depending on their age. But, I don't know, record it or something, but try to keep it to yourself. I know some people can't keep secrets, but this is not really a secret. This is more so protecting your vision. This is for you to be better. And if you are somebody who talk a lot and know you can't keep secrets, think about all the times you've had goals and you failed because you talked about them prematurely. And it may not be the person you talked it to, and they intentionally just gave you opinion. They probably never gave you opinion. They probably was very supportive and wanted you to do better. But think about it. They didn't have no intention. It was not about them. It was just the fact that you prematurely stated your goals about what you want to do, and you didn't achieve them before you even got to a place where you were about to achieve them. I wouldn't even talk when I'm about to achieve it. Honestly, I would be quiet until it's done. That's just me personally, because I'm too scared for my goals. Certain goals that I want to reach, I don't want to risk it. I'm going to protect it like I protect my baby. It's just like when you're pregnant, when the first trimester is like your most sensitive time, and the mother has to do certain things or move cautiously in order to protect the baby and make sure that she doesn't threaten a miscarriage. It's the same thing. You protecting your baby. This is yours. And I always say this in all of my episodes when we're talking about trying to achieve something, is to celebrate the small wins. Those small wins equal up to bigger wins. And the big win is to maintain or to reach your goal. Every little step counts. It doesn't matter how big, how wide, how great, how small, but it's in the right direction, ain't it? So every little move, every little win matters. So celebrate them. Pat on the back. Whatever it is. If you want to treat yourself to a massage because it don't matter if the reward that you treat yourself is bigger than the actual win. I don't think so. I think that's what helps me keep going. If that's what you want to do, then do that. Whatever that looks like to you, make it personal. You also need to stay connected to your why. It's becomes very pointless to want to achieve something if you don't know why you need to achieve it or why you want it so bad. Why do I want this? What's the real reason about it? Not something simple. Oh, just because I want to make more money. If it's getting your degree or whatever. What's the real why behind it? Is it your passion? You feel like this is your purpose? This is the path you're supposed to be on. Why? Figuring out your why. And when you do figure out your why, write it on a piece of paper. And whatever place in your home you spend the most time in, or even in your car, if you're in your car or at your desk at work, write it and tape it up somewhere so you can see it every day. If you have to write multiple copies, write one paste it on your mirror because you see it when you do your morning routine. Write it and put it in your car so you see it when that's the first thing you get in your car. Write it and put it on your desk at work to where you see it. Make it your screensaver if you're always on the phone or on your electronics often, or wallpaper. Make it where you can see it every day. That can help give you just a little small motivation while we're doing this, so it won't feel pointless when we do have those moments of, I don't even know why I'm here. Okay. And also rest without quitting. Rest doesn't mean you're quitting. It's just you need some time to gather yourself and get it together. If you need a little mental break that day and you need to either take yourself out to eat, take yourself to shopping, so whatever it is, cheat day, do it. But after you get that enough rest, let's get back to it. Let's not forget what the goal is here. But those are just some of my ways that I feel like helps you when you are in this growth process. And think about, do often reflections. What part of your vision have you been shrinking because you're afraid of being misunderstood? What distractions keep pulling you away from your goals? Are you seeking validation more than alignment? In any form. This even can be in your relationship. Are you seeking that validation more than alignment? And what would happen if you trusted yourself fully? Like, what would really happen? What could be so bad? Think of the good and bad if you trusted yourself fully and intentionally. Not everyone will understand the season you are in, and they don't have to. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone. Your responsibility is to maintain faithful to the vision placed in front of you. Okay? And this is just one affirmation I want to leave with you to add to your book during this season, or add to your paper that you have on your mirror, or if you wrote it on your mirror, wherever you have affirmations, I want you to add this one to your list. I trust myself enough to keep going even when the path feels lonely. Before we close, we will end this episode with this season's mantra. And if you're still jotting some things down, still reflecting, still taking everything in, go ahead and pause the episode here and press play when you are ready to decompress with me and end this episode with our mantra. So we're going to go ahead and take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Again, deep breath in and out. One last time, take it all the way in and out. And I want you to repeat after me. I honor what ended. I protect what's healing. I reclaim what's mine. Repeat it. Sit with it. Let it be the reminder that this year is yours fully. Next episode, join me for another great episode about nobody sees the grind before the glow. This is going to be more about consistency when nobody is clapping yet. We're going to touch bases on delayed gratification, staying disciplined without validation, and building in private. We're doing a little bit more because this is our lock-in pillar. We're on the second pillar of our rebirth season. So this one is tailored and aimed to locking in and staying consistent and having that tunnel vision so we can get to the end of that tunnel and reach our goal. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications on my YouTube page at I'm Enough Pod so you never miss an episode. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who may need to hear it. You can also follow me on Instagram at iam.enoughmsl. If you're locked in this season, feel free to share a photo of you journaling your reflections or the season's mantra on Instagram. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.